And tonight's topic is a really important one as well. A lot of people are unaware of how important it actually is. You know, a lot of people today, we're often worried about little things, which is like icing on the cake. But underneath that, the actual cake itself is essentially what Sophie is talking about tonight. So this is a super topic that we're getting into, self-esteem. I mean, from this comes everything. So there's no point having fancy car, fancy handbag, or a nice life, or even actually attempting to have a good relationship or friendships without nice, healthy self-esteem. So thank you very much for tackling this subject tonight, Sophie. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you, Adrian. And I think we can slowly start. Well, we might have other people joining on the way, but yeah, obviously, I'm also aware of the time, so let's start. Well, thank you very much. So my name is Sophie. Thank you for being here. It is a very important and I guess popular topic as well, that everybody have thought about one day in their lives. So I would like also to take this opportunity to thank Adrian, Chris, and the Motivate community, because it's a really great opportunity for me to be talking in front of you today. So thank you very much. So in my intention for the next 90 minutes is really for you to discover what self-esteem truly means to you. We will, of course, explore how to cultivate this self-esteem and how you can benefit from it in all your life. As Adrian mentioned, it could be relationships, work, just finding happiness and pleasure. So that is my intention. This is going to be a very open and conversational speech. So feel free to unmute yourself, to type in the chat if you have any questions. You can just raise your hand. So yeah, just feel free to be part of it. The aim is also for us to really share some tips and ideas and get inspired by all of us. So yes, I'll actually give you a second if you want to go and grab a pen and paper, or maybe your phone or anything that you would like to take some notes on. So feel free to do that now. Okay.
Ready.
Perfect. So again, I'll be talking about self-esteem, and I would like to start my speech with sharing with you a presentation, well, a slide, really. So let me do that. And I would like you to imagine a place where all you would hear is, I feel great about my life and myself. I believe in my skills and abilities. I am worthy. I have people who care about me and will help me if I need. I am enough. So I don't really want to know right now where this place is. I just would like you to reflect on what would it mean to you and how would you feel if you knew such place would exist. We'll come back to it at the end of the discussion, but yeah, if you want to just keep that at the back of your mind while we are actually going through this discussion, that would be amazing. And so moving forward, I would like to share a bit about my journey as a human being, as a friend, as a family member, as a coach, and in order to inspire you to also start your own personal journey and discoveries along the way. So all my life, I was in search of something. I knew something was missing. I just didn't know what it was. And I would look around me and think, how can they be so confident? How can they be so compassionate? Have great jobs, climb the career ladder? And I guess from the outside, a lot of people could think the same about me. We grew up in a very loving and caring family. I have 4 amazing siblings, true friends I can really count on. I studied at the best hotel management school, traveled the world, lived in different countries, opened a company in China, have a healthy and stable relationship. And yet, deep inside, I would feel so miserable without anybody knowing it. I was obsessed with these questions, you know? How can I fail so much at life? How can they be happy? Why not me? What have I done? I guess I was wondering that, or thinking and naively believing that one day I would magically wake up feeling amazing. So on my quest to feeling better, I decided to leave Switzerland, the country I was living in for more than 8 years. I had a deep feeling that I had to get out of my comfort zone. I wanted to be challenged and I wanted to feel different. China appeared to be the best place, very different from Switzerland. And as my boyfriend was living there at the time, we could be reunited. So here I arrive in Shanghai Pudong International Airport. And so fast forward a year, I realized that the grass was not greener on the other side of the world, but the air was a lot more polluted. And that these questions were still nagging me. I guess they must have just sneaked in my backpack as I was boarding on the plane. After a few unsuccessful Google searches to understand why I was feeling so low, I started to join motivational groups like Monday Morning Motivation, Motivate Shanghai, listen to podcasts and follow blogs. And so I started realizing, hey, could it be this self-esteem? Could it be that I have a low self-esteem? So I made a conscious decision that in 2018, that will be the year I will increase my self-esteem. I hired a coach and a whole new chapter opened. Before moving forward with my story and with the talk, I would like us to pause here for a minute. And I would like you to reflect on what self-esteem is and what it actually truly means to you. I deeply believe that there is not just one single definition and that we probably all have our own. So I will give you a couple of minutes to reflect, write down, and if you feel comfortable, share with me what would be your definition or what does self-esteem truly means to you. And I will, of course, share with you my definition, but a little bit later. Thank you, E, for sharing. Self-esteem is self-confidence, knowing that you're worthy and abundant. That's so true. Thank you, Adrian, as well. Talking about these topics with children is really, really important, because obviously I won't go into this. We won't have time during this discussion, but obviously a lot of our self-esteem is built during our childhood. So it is important to open and have these discussions with children as well. Michelle, you say that self-esteem, believe that you are worthy to be lived, and recognize that you have qualities to share. Very, very beautiful definition. Brenda, know you can do and achieve whatever you want to do. Believe in yourself. Yolanda, knowing your own worth. Very good. Johnny, knowing who you are. That is very true. Oh, loved. Okay, knowing that you are worthy to be loved. Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Amelie, self-esteem means being comfortable with who I am and not apologizing for who I am. Yes, exactly. Sorry, not sorry. Thank you very much for sharing. And obviously, if you feel like it at any other moment, just type it in the chat. Yes, Darko, believing in yourself when taking actions. Exactly. Well, thank you very much for sharing your definitions and what it really means to you. I can see that some people are quite connected to this word, and that it's really important. What I feel is that we really sometimes not ask ourselves what it truly means to us, and that is why I wanted to take this opportunity right here. So in society in general, and as we can see here, self-esteem, again, is not one definition and can be perceived in many different ways. I would also be curious, being in such an international group today, how does culture or education, language have an impact on self-esteem? Maybe we talk about self-esteem in English, but what is it in Chinese? Do you have like a translation or many in other different languages? So feel free also to share if there's any differences between self-esteem in your own personal culture, whether it could be French, Russian, Romanian, Indian, Chinese, and wherever everybody's coming from. Yeah, I'm quite curious.
You didn't ask for the German, but I can say like.
Oh, in the German, Yolanda, sorry.
Anyway, say.
How does German talk about self-esteem?
Actually, the word self-esteem, I had it to type it in. I have to admit, I needed to translate it, what it means in German. And in German, it's just like self-worth feeling. So that is basically how the literal translation is to it, the self-worth feeling.
Thank you, Yolanda. We have a couple more people who've been sharing. So Adrian says, is how I feel in my own skin, if it's positive and resourceful or not. And it's how we feel inside with ourselves. Arlene, thank you very much. I am valuable and satisfied with myself. Caroline, to me, self-esteem is the ability to value myself. So Michelle, I'm trying to see the first part. Self-esteem has been viewed as self-boosting when I was young, I believe, or when I was you. To me, it means believing in myself. So thank you very much again for sharing. And obviously, we can see that it is connected to ourselves. Amélie, so in French, estime de soi, esteem of self, and amour-propre, proper love, or like our own personal love. That's how we would talk about self-esteem. So yes, self-esteem
Actually,
yes, Yolanda.
to your question, like, I do think that it's common sense. So when you're talking about, like in Germany, when you're talking about some certain things, then they would say like, oh, where is your self-esteem? You know, it's like, because it's common sense to have it often. So it's rather like in the culture, it's rather like, oh, how can you not have it? So people are surprised when this self-worth feeling isn't there. And so they would react on it like that. So I think that was more like we're asking about the cultural aspect of that. So it seems like in my culture, it's like common sense that you should have it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for sharing on that. And that actually brings me to my next point, which is, so obviously, again, different countries, different culture, but generally speaking, as Yolanda mentioned, is like, we should have a self-esteem. And in addition to that, is generally, we talk about low self-esteem and high self-esteem. So low self-esteem would be, well, no, let's say high self-esteem, you get promoted, you get that second date on Tinder with this hot guy or girl. So you feel really like happy and you feel valuable, but then it could be that maybe you don't get your dream job, or you get dumped, or you choose to end your relationship, and it's not a good feeling, and then your self-esteem crashes. I was personally not okay with this anymore. And I was sure that actually there would be a more balanced way to think about self-esteem. I was a bit fed up, to be honest, with this roller coaster of like, oh, I'm feeling a low self-esteem. Oh, I'm in a high self-esteem. So that's bring me to my own definition of self-esteem, which actually resonates probably with many of yours as well. Which actually is unconditional self-worth, meaning that it really has nothing to do with external factors, but really like how we feel our value, and that we just deserve to live just being really as a human being. And that, let's say that you would feel it's a bad day, you're not really motivated to finish your presentation or to go and see your friend to the park. But that should not impact the way you value yourself. It's actually okay to have a bad day, not feel really motivated. You are worthy to just relax and recharge. So usually people link feeling bad or feeling high to self-esteem. And I'm not too sure what you think about that, and feel free to jump in here. But to me, I had to disconnect this, and myself as a human being and my value had nothing to do with my mood, basically. So if you agree, put your hands up. And if you have something to share, then yeah, please, I'd be really happy to have another point of view.
Yeah, I'd love to share the cultural thing, because Chris and I, and I'm sure some other people have it as well. In Australia, we have an insult. If someone loves themselves too much, we say they love themselves, and it's an insult. You love yourself, it's like degrading to someone, or to be told that you love yourself is no, I don't love myself. But yeah, that's what happens in Australia, but it's terrible. We should love ourselves, and we want to teach our kids to love themselves, and it's okay to love yourself. And unconditional self-love.
Yes, exactly. I agree. I mean, there's nothing wrong with loving ourselves. Yes, Yolanda?
Could you repeat that sentence? Usually people link the feeling of low, like, you had a very nice sentence. I would love to write it down.
Well, if I cannot say it again, you'll have to rewatch the recording. But I think it was something like, people link low or high self-esteem. No, that was not that. I mean,
no,
my
something
point was
about
just
unlinking.
you have to detach. And no, don't link it to your mood. Don't link the way you value yourself to the mood, whether you're feeling low or high, or yeah. So, but the recording would tell you exactly what I said.
Well, I think it was it. Thank you.
Sophie,
Great.
to Adrian's point in Australia, that there is that issue of loving yourself, and that being a term that's used to admonish someone. I think that there's a slightly more succinct way that I could put that, Adrian, and it's something which I have used to describe people, that he has a very high opinion of himself for no apparent reason. And I think that that's very much what it is. The Aussie insult of being in love with himself is really more aligned to, is that broadcasting of a self-worth that doesn't align with the public reality. But Adrian is right. It's used as an insult in Australia, very much so. Yes, and the tall poppy, cutting people down.
Thank you, Chris. Hello, Alicia. I think we've got a few more people who joined, so thank you very much for joining. We were just talking about what self-esteem meant to everybody, and I also talking about the topic of self-love. For those who are interested, Diana, who's on the call as well, have done a really nice webinar around self-love. So if you would like to go more into that topic, you can find it on the Motivate Shanghai Facebook group. So
I have something that
yes,
I want to discuss with Chris and Adrian about what they just talked about. Is, well, I define this as ego. I wrote on the chat, but I'm not really sure if it is right, because I'm Chinese. I'm not really a native English speaker. So my understanding is ego is like you love yourself too much that cannot see other things. I think it's the extreme level of high self-esteem that becomes the people say that's the ego. Is that the thing that Australian people try to avoid, to be looked like that?
The short answer is yes.
Okay, then how to not going to ego but have the self-esteem, how to maintain that balance, that I would like to know.
I get the feeling that we might be able to hear from Sophie about how to strike that balance.
Yes, well, we'll be going a bit later on, and thank you, Yi, for pointing that out, because obviously when we talk about self-esteem, there's so many other words that are connected to it. So obviously confidence, self-love, ego, our value, what does it mean? So we will be going into a little bit later on like how to cultivate self-esteem, self-worth, and obviously we can also discuss a little bit like how is that different to other feelings that we might have, like ego or confidence or self-love. So just stay tuned a little bit, and we'll definitely get into that. And thank you, Priyal, also for sharing about the Indian culture, where you say that self-worth is really tied to what you achieve, and that defines self-esteem. I don't know if you want to maybe just share a couple of more words on that.
I just was gonna say, like, if you keep achieving, it's tied to your self-esteem. At least that's how you're conditioned. And once that stops, your self-esteem is linked to your daily mood and behaviors, as you were saying. So how to detach from that is important, and the ability to recognize that.
Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. And I believe, well, that I know you a little bit more so in that obviously you've been growing up in an Indian culture, but you might have also your own definitions of what is self-esteem to you, and how you can detach from your path and this traditions that we might be tied to. So great. So as I was sharing, my definition of self-esteem is really unconditional self-worth and just deserving to be alive. And I'd like to share a little bit more about my story, which actually made me connect the dots and come up with this definition of myself, well, of my own. So I was born with congenital heart disease. So at the age of 12 hours, I was actually undergoing my first heart surgery. And I have been taken away and rushed to another hospital just a few hours after my birth. And for the first years of my life and carrying on afterwards, hospitals was my second home. I have been growing in this environment, and I was obviously that's how I grew up. I didn't know any before and after, so I was growing up just trying to be myself as much as possible, but also trying to be perfect as I was born imperfect. I will get into that topic a bit later, but obviously coming to teenage, being a girl on summer holidays, you see all your friends with their really tiny bikinis and you're wearing like your huge brassiere or like the big top, not having or not wanting to show the scar, which is literally just all across your chest or my chest. So growing up with obviously these physical but also mental aspects of myself has been really challenging. Overall, I'm super healthy, so don't worry. But I came to a point where I accepted that. And a few years back, so accepting the fact that I am physically a little bit different than other people, I actually overcame that, and then came the point where I had to undergo other surgeries related to a pacemaker. So it's been nearly 6 years now that I'm living with a pacemaker, and I'm all fine, don't worry. I can drink and I can party and I can live my life the way I want. So, but I had some moments where actually I was thinking, okay, but if life is so tough like that to me, do I really deserve this life? Why am I complicating, other people's life, and obviously my parents and my siblings, friends and family worrying so much about me all the time? Do I really deserve if it has to be so painful? And so recently that made me think a little bit more about, well, yes, actually, I do deserve to live, because this little Sophie, who was just a few hours old, has been struggling, fighting, and pushing to live all her life. And just for her, I deserve to be here today in front of you. And I am worthy of this life and what all the things I can do. So this little story, just to let you know, well, yeah, to sum it up, is that it connecting again to who I was as a kid and everything I've been through made me realize that yes, it has nothing to do with the outside world, anything to do with what happened to you. You have to feel inside of you this value that you have to be on this world and how you can contribute to making this a better place, and just, yeah, bringing value to people and love. So that's how the whole unconditional self-worth came up to me. So thank you for listening about that. And I'm sure you also have been through many challenges, situations. So you deserve to be here today, and you deserve to live your life the way you value it and the way you dream about it. Before moving forward, I would like now to actually break out into groups. Adrian, maybe we could do groups of 3, I think, for 5 minutes. And I would like you to discuss and share among yourself, why is self-esteem so important in our lives? Or why is self-esteem so important in your life? So I think you will be seeing a little notification on your page. So just join it, the breakout group, enjoy, have fun. I'm looking forward to hearing about it when you're back.
And then we'll be back here in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, see you. Adrian, you've put me in a group. Shall I join the group or? Oh, I can't hear you.
You can just ignore it.
Okay.
And there will probably be a couple of people that will stay here or will appear here. And it takes a minute or two a minute for everyone to split up.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
Yes. You got kicked out, Yolanda?
No, the room was empty. There was nothing.
Yeah, they were probably still going there. There's 3 other people in that room if you'd like to join it again, Yolanda. There's 3 people in that room now. They just took a little while to get there. Let's put these guys in room 9 and Ma in room 6. Okay, I've just moved a couple of people because sometimes people jump out.
Mm-hmm.
Note to self, I should make rooms a little bit smaller. Keep an eye on the time. 04. Yep. Yeah, hey, so does self-esteem, is it self-esteem and then there's like a label or a judgment added to it? Like positive self-esteem or negative self-esteem? Is self-esteem itself judgment-free?
Well, to me, yes. I would call otherwise healthy self-esteem, but I'd rather call it self-worth, really, than self-esteem. So those people who are still with us here, Ekat, Sarah, Pikau, feel free to share with us or in the chat what you think and why is it important for you to feel or to have self-esteem in your life, or self-worth, however you connect to it.
And I was actually just reading a book about men's problems, and there's some very serious men's problems. And the root of most of them is self-esteem, or a long way short, the kind of the cure for man to man up and get to their next level is all about growing up. And you grow up through having a healthier self-esteem.
So I remember when we were talking in Diana's group, you mentioned about self-love for men is something that they don't really resonate to. But what about self-esteem? And who are the men in this group? You can also obviously share. Is it something that you relate to as being more feminine, or is it for you something related more to ego? Yeah.
No, more related to feminine, and a lot of men won't turn up to a self-esteem or a self-love workshop. It's unmanly. But if you give us a man-up workshop about being better men, being stronger, and in that stronger, at times we're going to be softer, that's okay, because we're being softer to be stronger.
Yeah. But I think self-esteem or self-worth is knowing, or maybe if strength for you, however you define it, is important as one of your values, being a man, being strong, being there for your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, or just anybody else. I think, yeah, and we'll get into that later, it really links to your values. So the good thing with self-esteem is that you can really, you know, do whatever you want with it. It really belongs to you in a way, and what you would like to work on.
Yes. I really like to see a lot of people recognize it, for, what it's worth and its true nature, because it really is incredibly empowering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, definitely for me, as I said, it has been really interesting to understand why is this so important for my life, and actually understanding by, yes, having this unconditional self-worth, I could actually be living the dream in a way. I'm not saying my life is all easy peasy, but I know that I can take on the challenges that are coming. And obviously this year for everybody, and I can talk for myself as well, has been very challenging. I had to take a lot of decisions that I was kind of, they were still there, but I was like, yeah, whatever. And then this year, well, yeah, many people had to face, issues, questions, decisions to make, because that's the way this year was.
And what kind of decisions do people make with low self-esteem?
Well, that's the thing. Do they even make any decisions, or they just let the life, guide there somewhere? So I think when you feel that you're not worthy of taking your life in hand, or that you are the one who can give yourself a great life, then yeah.
That's probably 5 minutes now.
Yeah.
And when I click the button, it's 1 more minute.
Okay.
Would you like me to close it?
Well, you've clicked on the button. Let's give them like this last minute.
Okay, so they'll be back in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
I think you're doing great, by the way.
Thank you.
It's gonna know how to pump it up and how to get it higher. You doing okay? Yeah. Oh yeah, I used to sing a lot to my kids, and we would drive in the car and we sing, I love me. We just make up songs about loving myself. And every now and then I ask my kids, you love yourself? They're like, yeah, of course.
That's so great. Yeah, it is. I mean, I know there's a few parents here today, and I'm sure they can relate to that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, everybody.
Thank you, Sophie. That was a very compelling exercise that made me really think about how I define self-esteem and the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence.
There's a few people which are not on mute. Maybe Michelle, either you. Yeah, thank you very much. So I'm all ears. What has been so interesting in your groups? Would you like to share? Maybe you came up with a new definition for yourself, or maybe you just want to share why is it important for you to feel self-esteem. So if you would like to share, feel free. Thank you, Chris. Yolanda?
I'm shy doing it so that other people get chances. I think the major thing is also what you have said before. For me, it's like when the outside is basically going through a change, or like you're losing your boyfriend, you're losing your job, or there are other things like happening which are like taking away this kind of affirmation from the outside that you're okay, and then all that that stays is basically your own acceptance towards yourself and your own worth, and so when that is lacking, it really can like influence your whole perception of yourself. And so to stabilize it, it's very important to figure out a good self-esteem, within yourself.
Thank you, Galinda. Yeah, that's very true. Anybody else would like to share what has been discussed in your groups?
Just on what Yolanda said, 100% right on. But we often won't recognize that it's self-esteem. We'll blame someone else or think it's something else.
Yeah. Well, as I was sharing in our little group with Adrian and a few people that were there, for me, the reason why self-esteem or self-worth is so important is that actually it empowers you so much to take your life and just bring it to the new level. You know, like it has mainly this year, because with the whole coronavirus outbreak has made everybody face their probably decisions that had to be taken for a long time, you know, just facing situations that we were trying not to look at. And personally myself, this year has been very challenging, but just connecting with myself and what I value and my value of myself, I was like, okay, how can I make this a good year for me? How can I make these better decisions, you know, to actually move forward towards where I want to go? So I don't know if that has been the case for you as well. How have you managed your self-esteem this year to face the challenges that this year has brought? And obviously it could be also losing family, friends, relatives, or any other, or your job, or any other challenge that you might have faced.
Can I say a little something?
Yes, Ryan, for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, well, just on a very personal level, I know the whole world has been going through a bit of a roller coaster lately this year. But it's true, I've been feeling myself extremely vulnerable with all the different emotions that I've been feeling, all the ups, the downs, the doubts, the questions, a lot of uncertainty. So I had to really go, well, actually all the layers of protection that we have when we try to go from one day to another and making ourselves feel as good as we can, with different tools in our life. I feel like everything has been, taken away, and I've been exposing, myself more and more, and I felt extremely vulnerable lately. But I've managed to go deeper into myself and just really see the person I am, go back to the very base, to the very core of who I am. And this is where I found my own self-esteem. It's just the essence of myself. Who am I? And I had to ask myself questions and just really be honest with myself. Who is Caroline, and what is she made of, and what is she capable of? And just really have this one-to-one with myself, pushing away all the emotions, but really just have this. Yeah, for me, it was really about going back to the very core. And for me, it was having this. The reason why self-esteem is so important is because it's something that has to be the very first layer that covers your organs to be able to live a healthy life and in face with who you are. Yeah, so that's for my part.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for sharing. And I really resonates with me. I agree that self-esteem is probably the first layer before moving into anything else. Yes, Darko?
I want to share, I do not have a quite precise definition about self-esteem, about myself. But now after this short meeting in group we had, I defined that it is my self-esteem goes up when I make things according to my values. And so it is also changing during the days. That means that if I act according to what I value, then my self is up and I feel much better. And also I found out that self-esteem is changing during the life period, which means that when I was younger, I felt more low self-esteem. Then when start searching and learning more about myself, about the world, so it grows up during the time of period.
Thank you, Darko. Thank you very much. And I'm not that old that I've been through so many layers of my life, but I'm sure, and I have felt already that obviously from a young age to today, self-esteem, I think it's more about finding your own balance really throughout your life. Yes, Chris?
I need to thank Nolwenn for our group discussion, where she was able to help me to articulate the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence. And it's the self-confidence thing that Adrian and I were speaking about from the Australian perspective. I think that self-esteem is how we feel about ourselves, but self-confidence is how we project that to the outside world. And those people who the Australians will try and tear down are those people who project self-confidence, which doesn't necessarily change how they feel about themselves, because it's external to themselves. And I think that's an important differentiation. So thank you, Sophie, for holding this, and thank you, Nolwenn, for creating that thought.
Yes, thank you, Nolan. Actually, building on that, I realized Diana had a question in the chat, and I think this is totally linked. Why people say too much self-esteem is bad? Well, first of all, which people say that? And Diana, is it something that you believe? Yes, Yelena, I'll come to you in a second, but I just would like to know if Diana wants to share a bit more.
Chris answered that more or less, right? So when you now define the self-esteem from the self-confidence, then there's a difference. And I think like what Diana might have, or the people are referring to, is exactly that confusion. They are talking about like too much self-confidence is bad, but there's nothing existing like too much self-esteem, maybe. Maybe something like that. Just like
yes, thank you, Yolanda. I think from Chris's point now, I come to understand what people refer to as confidence. When you have too much confidence, they associate it with self-esteem. So, Sophie, I think I have my answer.
Great. And I think we can also tie it into ego as well. Obviously, you know, having a strong ego and trying to prove maybe to the outside world through our ego that we are capable. But for me, this is really also, again, not connected necessarily to your self-worth. You might not actually value yourself very much, but would like to prove that, you know, you have a big ego or you are very confident. So I guess ego confidence will be really like how you are perceived on in an outside world, whereas self-worth is really the way that you feel about yourself. It's like introspection towards who you are. What do you think, E, about that? Yeah. Great. Well, thanks so much for all your sharings. Oh yeah, Charlotte.
Yeah. Hi. So for me, what I would like to say about that is that actually in my personal journey, the discovery to self-esteem was something really physical as well, especially recently. So I've been on a journey of doing yoga, and this is one of my first teachers, Naomi. But recently I've done something else as well, which is called Qigong. And I'm sure some of you know about it. So it's a Korean energy movement. And I've realized that actually we spend a lot of our energy sometimes outside of us. So we have a lot of energy, but we could just be spending it all outside. And so I've discovered that that was my case. You know, I had a lot of energy, but I just kept on giving it outside to the world and I didn't keep it inside me. And so for me, but my journey to really knowing myself and knowing my value and knowing my worth was something very physical, to realize actually, you know, you can have it all in you and it's there and it's warm and you have that energy. And this gave me the realization that actually, wow, you know, I am someone, I'm alive and I have all this worth, all this value that's in me. And yeah, so this for me was a big thing because I'm a big overthinker. So like, I think probably a lot of us would agree, like we're too much in our heads and we're not enough in our bodies. And a lot of, as well, I think our esteem of who we are is as well appreciating this body and all these organs functioning. So yeah, just I want to share that with you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Alicia? Yes.
Yes. So, some things that we talked about in our group that I thought might be relevant with this is we also talked about the fact that it can motivate us to have the self-esteem. There's somebody in our group doing PhD work, and that the self-esteem helped to propel them to be able to do that. And then the other thing was, and this goes, it's funny how it goes into all the different spheres, because now, you know, she was just talking about the physical, but the other thing we talked about is how the people who are around us are a reflection of ourselves, and that the energy that we're putting out attracts those people to us. So having good self-esteem helps to bring other people with good self-esteem around us, and that helps to solidify us as well. And then I think when you guys were talking about confidence, that kind of goes into that. You know, you have that fine line there, obviously, and it's a line that I think nobody really knows what it is, and it seems very circumstantial. Sometimes people are supposed to be confident, sometimes they're not. And sometimes people's norms, all of this stuff that you guys were talking about with this self-confidence is all based on external judgments. And it sounded to me like when you were talking about self-esteem, it was within yourself, and the way to have unconditional self-love was to not worry about the things that were external to influence that. So that might just be something to think about. That's all.
Thanks very much, Alicia, for this sharing and bringing new points. Thank you. Amelie.
Yes, I just want to bounce back on what Alicia said, because that's also something that we talked about in our group. It's detaching ourselves from other people's attitudes and words, and understanding that something's going on for them that has nothing to do with us. And so when we do that, we're capable of realizing that, okay, there's something going on for them and we have nothing to do with it. And so it's just trying to empathize without necessarily agreeing, but empathizing and understanding and trying to explore what's going on for them, so that we can help them also understand what they're going through, because sometimes they are not necessarily aware of their feelings or what they're projecting or what they're saying. And when we're capable of helping them do that work, then it allows also to shift the energy and to create a real conversation and not have our self-esteem impacted.
Can I add something, Sophie?
Sure.
I want to bounce back as well about what Alicia and Amélie said. I think if someone is struggling with self-esteem and wants to build its self-esteem, first that person needs to be surrounded with people who share the same values, because in today's world, there's a lot of toxic people, and you don't want to be surrounded by toxic people, because these toxic people will not lift you up, they will bring you down. And I think this is something that you need to be very careful of. Now, for example, I can talk about, because I said it in the chat, me, I was with an ex for 2.5 years. He broke up just 3 weeks before lockdown. It was a shitty situation. So I went down, most of you know, at least, you know, but I got lucky. So I moved flat, but I got lucky because I'm living with Charlotte, who's very strong with self-esteem. She's lifting me up. So that's, I'm very grateful for this. And as well, like Charlotte, she's practicing, she's doing her practice. I practice a lot of yoga as well, and yoga helps me make me aware of what I feel, like self-awareness. So you listen to yourself a bit more. But yeah, self-esteem is a big topic, and I think it's you need to be surrounded by beautiful people. Yay!
Thank you, Brenda, and thank you all of you for sharing. Actually, this brings me to the next part of my webinar today, which is, well, you've been sharing also about how can we actually increase, or how can we feel more connected to our inner self-worth. And you pointed out a really great tips and great points to improve. So there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path, obviously, especially when it comes to self-esteem. So you've been sharing about surrounding yourself with obviously like-minded or like-valued people. And well, we have a great community here, I think, and for sure within your surroundings, relatives, friends, family, could be even coaches, therapists. I mean, the most important is not to stay alone, because once we're alone and we get into this spiritual, like not spiritual, but anyway, in our brains, and we just stay alone, that we can quickly drift to obviously really bad situation. So I think, as you mentioned, being surrounded and finding the people who can actually make you feel good and you value spending time with them is the most important. But also not just hoping that the other person will bring you your happiness, or hoping that the other person will bring you up. Obviously, it probably starts from there, but that at the same time, you need to feel this warmth inside of you. And you have to find that you also, you have a value that they want to spend time with you, and that you are a great person if they actually take care of you or just be with you. So it's not just about the other person being around, but also about, okay, what can I bring to them? You know, what is, just ask yourself, why are they helping me? You know, what makes me such a great person that they want to actually bring me up? And not just, you know, they're great people, I'm just shit. No, you're amazing, and that's why you have great people around you. So for me, actually, what has been really the first step on this journey towards unconditional self-worth was accepting myself. That was really the first thing. And obviously we talked a bit earlier about physical and health conditions, so obviously going over that, but also just accepting myself, my qualities, you know, and my greatness or amazingness that I am. No, just accepting that, yes, I do great things, I have successes, I have great achievements, and just feeling good about it, you know, and just accepting that. And so that was probably the easiest thing to do, because afterwards it was accepting that you do have limitations, you might have weaknesses, and you might face challenges that you don't know how to handle. And you might think that, oh, I screwed up on that one, you know, but as a good friend and trainer would say, there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. And this is one of the NLP presuppositions, and it's true. I have really connected to it, and just by looking at it as like, how can I improve from that? What can I really learn from this situation? Makes me accept myself a lot more, because I'm constantly improving instead of just constantly blaming myself for not being perfect or not being great or not have achieving this or that in whatever situation. So accepting myself, accepting compliments from other people, and probably some of you as well have issues with accepting compliments. So please, next time you receive a compliment, just smile, say thank you, and feel the warmth inside of you. Feel this feeling that's in your heart, because you deserve it. You deserve that compliment. And the cherry on the cake with accepting myself was party. There's always a good reason or success to celebrate. So, you know, especially this year where it has been very difficult, we've been locked up far away from our loved ones. So celebrate yourself. You know, don't wait for Christmas or your birthday. Today is a great day to celebrate yourself. You came to this self-esteem. Let's party, you know. So yeah, just make sure that you don't forget yourself, and that you celebrate your successes and achievements along the way. Let's do a little exercise quickly. Oh yes, Chris, sorry.
I would like to add that celebrating success is an amazing thing to celebrate. But on the journey, and it is a journey, that we should remember to celebrate the progress. Because going from where we are to where we want to be is not a single step. It is a journey. And that we need to recognize that we are making progress and celebrate that we continue to make progress.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, progress is a success because you are just moving on your journey. And yeah, just looking back to where you were yesterday or 5 minutes ago, you know, and you're like, hey, I grew up so much from, you know, just a few seconds ago. So yes, thank you, Chris. It's not just about success, it's also your constant improvement. So yeah, let's take your pen, paper, phone, whatever you have with you. And I'll give a few minutes, maybe 3 minutes, let's say 3-4 minutes. I would like you to, because we're Sunday and I usually do a weekly review of my week, I would like you to write down 2 achievements or successes you're proud of, and 1 challenge that you might have been facing, and that and what you've learned from it. So you can use this week examples, last month, last year, whatever. Just write down 2 successes you're proud of, and an achievement and a challenge, what you learned from it.
Can you repeat once more, please?
Sure. 2 achievements or successes that you're proud of, and 1 challenge that you faced and what you learned from it.
Do we have to stop when we get to our second one? Because I just thought of a third one.
But you might, if you're quick, just go ahead, and you'll have loads of time this afternoon also to write it down. So obviously this is not a, well, we have a little time constraint here, so but yeah, feel free to carry on the list whenever a new success comes into your mind. I see Yolanda. She's probably thinking about her successes. She has a huge smile on her face. That's great. And she's already ready to party. Darko too, Amelie. It's amazing to see how you all have your nice, lovely smiles on your face. Okay, just a minute to go. And so those who are ready, if you would like to share. Yes, Yolanda? Oh no, I thought you were putting your hand up. Okay.
I was just itching, but I can definitely go.
Okay.
Now every movement of my hand is taken as a yes, she will go. Anyway, so I went to a networking event to put myself out there. And actually, I was invited, not as a photographer, but just as a participant. And I took my camera, hanged it around me, snapped 2 shots, and then I had all the people around me asking me if I'm a professional photographer. Yes, that was like my success in manipulating to the outside who I am, and it worked. So I like that. And yesterday I was at a birthday party. I wanted to go, and I stayed longer to force myself go on partying and being out there. So that was also a success. And yes, it was fun. And the challenge that I found, like being in the low self-esteem, how to say, like alley, like the valley, being in this valley down there, you know, of really lacking self-esteem. I just had it last week. But there came some creation out of it. I wrote poems, and they're kind of interesting. They are dark. It's a side of me I didn't know before. But so actually, this is also the nice part where I figured like, it's also space of creativity. And so this kind of new mindset, while I don't want to go into that value now, particularly more often to create, you know, that's not the goal, but still it was a nice new reframe of that situation.
Wow, amazing, Yolanda. What a great discovery of yourself. And I hope you're not too tired because you have to party again for those successes. So, you know, make sure that...
Yesterday, does it count? Yesterday, come on, count, no?
Okay, I'll get another person who would like to share, then we'll move on because we're getting tight on the time. But if anybody else would like to share, maybe one success or one challenge and what they've learned, feel free.
I'm happy to share something with you.
Yes.
Yeah, so something that I'm very proud of this week is that I've, since now a few weeks, I've been thinking really of finally taking first steps into a new creative project, something that I really believe in and I think is the right step forward for me. But obviously being a mom of 2, and there's always many excuses, you know, to postpone things. And I was just deciding this week, this is the week I'm going to actually start the project, create an event, which makes me feel a little bit out of my comfort zone. But yeah, everything has been done this week and I'm very, very, very proud of it. So that was a very big boost in my self-esteem, and well done you. And also being able this week to be very much in the present time, in the moment with my children, my husband at home, which is something that I find sometimes difficult to do and there's so much ongoing in my mind. But I felt many times with my family and in the moment, and I'm really very happy with that, and it's something that I really want to do more and more. And the tricky thing for me this week was that nothing at all serious, but I just waiting for some health results, like some health checks, and it's just having to accept that I don't have any control over this. I just have to accept to wait for the results, and that brings me a lot of anxiety. But yeah, so this is the part that I find a bit difficult, is to have to, you know, let the time go and wait for the results next week. That was the hard part for me, is to accept that I don't have any control over that.
Amazing. Thank you, Caroline. And to actually add on that, yes, it's true, you might not have the control on the results that you will get from your health, but you have control on how you can feel while you're waiting for these results. And that will probably also change the way this anxiety is inside of you. So you have control.
Yeah, and I have a great family to help me deal with that, exactly, with that feeling. A lot of positive thoughts that help me to deal with this situation better.
Great. Okay, So moving on, yeah, so we agree we all accept and love ourselves. And going into loving ourselves also, that means loving our body and loving our mind. And again, another NLP presupposition is that body and mind are one system. And so one can help the other one. You might be physically unwell or maybe have health issues, or how can your mind actually help you through this process? Or you could actually be mentally not so fit, but by caring about your body, giving yourself self-care time, or maybe just going for a hike, for a run, it can also improve the way that you actually feel inside of you. So for this exercise, and pointing on what Charlotte mentioned a bit earlier, I would like us to open our arms very, very wide and to actually give us a very big hug and say, thank you, body, for taking care of me, being this shield towards the outside world and, you know, protecting me, protecting my self-worth, my heart, and who I am. And I think we don't say thank you enough to our body. So yeah, this is, I actually started doing this a lot now, connecting with the body, and it just feels amazing. So hope it does to you as well. So thank you, my body, for making me go through life. Yeah. So there are many other tips, and I could probably share a PowerPoint later with whoever's interested, because I don't have so many slides. There's just another exercise that I would like to do with you, and another point which is very important for me, and then we'll open to another Q&A, and that is around empathy. And I think it has been touched as well throughout this this webinar, you know, empathy towards others and putting ourselves in their shoes, and you know, trying to understand what they may be going through. But what is most important for me is empathy to ourselves. We usually think about somebody else, but what about us? You know, who's taking care of us? Who has empathy for us? And how can we increase this empathy that we have towards ourselves? So I do have another little exercise or little activity for you. And for that, I would like all of us to take a deep breath in. And if you feel comfortable, just close your eyes as you breathe out. I would like you to envision yourself as a kid, probably up to 10 years old, let's say. So you see yourself, this little kid, and how cute are you? But not just how cute are you. Just look beyond the surface. Look into who you truly are. This little kid deserves unconditional love and compassion. You are still this kid, and you deserve unconditional love and compassion. Connect with yourself. Maybe blow a kiss, hug this child, and whenever you're ready, open your eyes and come back into this room. How do you feel? Great.
I feel great, and I feel very emotional to reconnect with my inner child. I'm giving her big hugs.
And obviously, some of us might not have had a very easy childhood. And you might also be looking at this child with pity, shame, some negative feelings. But you know that in addition to unconditional love and compassion, this little kid was worthy of being alive. And so, yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you. And you're still this person, and what happened to you in your childhood has nothing to do with you, although you've just been somehow a little victim of the situation, but you are worthy of being alive. So the last point, and you've mentioned it many times, so I will not go too much into it, but for me, what has helped me take decisions, what has helped me to pursue my dream and to actually move on with my life is to connect with my values. So I will not go into an exercise now, but I would like you at some point today, next week, to really connect and list down what are these values. And I think Darko mentioned very well that he feels great when he does something which is connected to his values. And many of you have also mentioned that. And it's so true, because our values is who we are, what we actually feel, what drives us in our life. So by making a decision based on our values, or just listening to what we think is a good decision, will help us to go through life and maybe answer very tough discussions like, should I take this job? Should I quit this job? Is he or she the right partner for me? You know, do I have to follow my education, or can I just go on my own path? So these are not easy questions, and probably make us doubt a lot. So by connecting to your values, it will help you to answer them, hopefully a little bit more easily. So I'll finish with, and sorry that I have been looking up to all the questions or comments you've been putting in the chat, but it's been very interactive. So thank you very much for this. I'll just share again the slides that I shared at the beginning with you. And coming back to this case. So do you have any idea, and unfortunately I don't see all of you at the same time on the screen, where this place could be? So maybe best is if you, I don't even know if you write in the chat if I can see it, but yes, Darko.
It is here within us.
It's here with Darko.
Yes.
And it's here with Ijong, and it's here with Diana, Nowen, Lettice, Priyal. Exactly. It's here within yourself. You are enough. You are worthy of being alive. So with this, I'd like to end my presentation. Again, thank you so much for all your contributions. And I think we've nailed it down to sharing great tips and inspiring ourselves, each of us. We've got a few more minutes for Q&A. If you have anything else, if you might want to share something, just go ahead.
Okay. Hello, my name is Irene. I just wonder, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay.
Hello, Irene.
Actually, I find recently I have either my boss or someone, I feel like they really like to coach me, but I feel the way they coach me or they provide me some of the feedback, from my understanding, I find it's a little bit unreasonable or ridiculous. And I think I'm not a person that's overconfident, but I think I still have some self-esteem. And I just feel, what they say to me, I'm not sure whether it's what they try to say or what I try to receive are very different. I just feel okay, very down, and I feel my self-esteem has been just kind of really lower by them, and my expression will be sad. I just feel sometimes I feel sad and I cry, and I just wonder, is that I'm so bad? Why they coach or they mentor people, and why their outcome is make people feel down in this way? And I just wonder from a professional perspective, how can we address, or even I really, for me, because I'm more from the market research and scientific background, I would come up either in a very strong way, say, okay, I can either trust what you are saying, but I would like to collect the evidence, or you provide who told you this time, when, space, and I want to validate this. I mean, of course, I can be very strong and fight against with this kind of evidence, but I just wonder how, in a way, I don't want to be so strong to fight against. If I fight against, I think they probably are very wrong, because I can see some of the management style that people will just try to put the people, use this kind of as a threat to make you feel low, especially your self-esteem, or you feel bad, so you feel okay. You need to respect their authority. So that's how I feel a little bit challenged and very difficult to balance this kind of situation, because I feel my self-esteem has been lowered by their coach or like by their feedback. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Arlene. Thank you for sharing with us. Well, so there's a couple of things I would like to share with you. One is that you cannot control what they say or what they feel. And obviously, you can control the way you react in this situation and the way you feel about it. And coming to your point about I can reply back and I can be strong, it's not about is this good or bad. Is this something that you value? Is this something that actually is one of your values, that you want to be strong, you want to answer like this, you know? Is it so? Connecting with your values probably will help you find the right way of answering to them. And also about feeling low and that it might have touched into your self-esteem, maybe try to understand what is it that they said that made you doubt. Is there something that you know deep inside, I know actually I still need to improve that? And that's fine, because you will be looking at it as like, yes, it's true. It's a reminder that this is something that I still need to work on. Thank you. Or you don't have to tell them thank you, but you can tell them to yourself, well, thank you for actually pointing out that maybe this is something that I still need to work on, you know? And it doesn't make you a bad person. It makes that you actually are on your journey. And we cannot just from one day to the other, you know, wake up and, as I said, magically feeling amazing and then the world is great. So just connect a little bit more towards, yes.
Eileen, what I'll say, and then we'll let some other people ask some questions as well, is that imagine the amount of time that these busy people are taking out of their lives to engage with you, to provide you with feedback so that you can be better. Imagine the positive intentions that they must be bringing to this communication so that you can improve. No matter what you feel, these people are taking time to provide you with information that will help you become better. They must value you enormously rather than just ignoring you. And I think that's great. Sophie, other people probably have some questions as well. Anyone else?
We still have a few more minutes.
Well, actually, I don't have a question, but I just want to quickly say thank you so much, Sophie, because I think it was a really good talk that you did. And especially I love that it was very interactive and it was such a nice group. You guys, you're such like, you know, like nice people. It was just great to be able to share and be inspired about each other's stories. So yeah, just wanted to say that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I thank all of you for being here today and taking your time and taking also all your knowledge and all your vulnerability to sharing with us and inspiring each of us. So I would just like to share with you how to connect with me. And also I would like to point out that I know it's not Christmas, but I have a little gift for you. So if you're interested in this weekly review exercise that we did earlier, feel free to pin me. So on the right, you would see, I think it's probably your right, but the WeChat QR code, if you don't have my contact, feel free to connect with me or send me an email, or those are my numbers. I have created a 1 week daily review, and so you can do a full week review on a daily basis, and that you can use one time, and I'm happy to create more with you together. So feel free to connect. I would love to hear about how your journey towards your inner self-worth is going. So yeah, feel free to really connect with me. It would be a pleasure.
Sophie, can you leave that up for a second so we can take a screenshot?
Yeah, sure. And as most of you know, I just would like to add that, like a few of us in the webinar today, I'm an NLP practitioner and a coach. So I'll be more than happy also to partner with you along your journey. Hiring a coach myself has been an incredible and rewarding decision that I took. So I know how valuable that is. So again, if you would like just to know me a bit more and that I know a bit more about you, just pin me.
Thank you, Sophie.
Beautiful, Sophie. I just want to share, I've been doing personal development stuff and coaching for some years. And last night, I actually found some new stuff. And it was something I'm not going to share here. It's pretty intimate. But I realized, oh, crap. And I realized how I've been doing a negative pattern like my whole life. And I actually realized that pattern even went back, you know, through the generation before me and generation before them. So I'm the third male in the row, you know, to have this trait, and it comes down to self-esteem. Probably a simple thing that could get picked up by a skilled coach. But either way, please consider taking Sophie up on that opportunity and consider getting some coaching as well, because coaching really is a game changer. And a lot of us here can verify how important and how much it can change your life. Thank you, Sophie. Absolutely beautiful topic and a wonderful bunch of people here today.
Yes, it's great to see all of you. A lot of familiar faces, and Nolwenn, we haven't seen each other for a long time as well. So it's great to see you. Say hello. Are you still in China? I think you were leaving, but anyway.
No, yes, Sophie, it is lovely to see you here as well, and lovely to hear you talk. I'm still in Shanghai actually, yes.
Okay, great. Well, say hello to the gang when you see them.
Nolan's from France, and she's been in Shanghai longer than most of us. Wait.
Adrian, it just occurred to me, are all of these people part of the Motivate community?
Probably
well, at least
not.
Those in China, because many are not in China, but.
Now, next week, guys, Janine and I are actually talking about coaching. We're talking all about the coaching world, and a week after that, we have another gentleman coming on, and he's actually talking about like coaching, but in the financial sense. He's talking about money, perhaps self-esteem or psychology around money. So that'll be an interesting session. So feel free to join us again next week or the week after about money. And thank you very much for coming here today.
Yes, and I would just like to add a little thing, because I'm on my webinar trip at the moment. And in a few hours, I will be with Janine and Monday Morning Motivation community. And I will be talking about mental fitness. So that's going to be 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. China time. Yeah. So whoever's up and in China or everywhere in the world, you'll just let me know if you don't have the details to sign up. It's a free event as well. It will be much shorter. So we'll have between 30 to 40 minutes each time, and it will be the same webinar twice. So you can just dialing to either the 7 a.m. or the 8 a.m. one.
Okay, so now everyone knows what this is all about. Hit up Sophia, get that 1 week plan, or if you're not going to hit her up for that, make sure take a couple of notes, a couple of action steps for yourself, a couple of action steps to improve your self-esteem, please.
And
I'm
Eileen,
going to stop the broadcast.
let me know how it goes. Sorry. I was saying, Arlene, just let me know how it goes.